A language barrier is a phrase used to indicate the difficulties when people have no language in common and attempt to communicate.
We experienced this firsthand in Peru. Not only were there extreme cultural differences, but also a drastic language barrier. We thought that the little Spanish we knew would get us by, but most of the natives didn't even speak Spanish, but rather their native languages. The moment where I really felt that I overcame the language barrier was when I started to play soccer with one of the young boys at the Hogar. At first, it was extremely difficult to communicate with this boy, Jefferson, because his Spanish was not very good, and neither was mine. We both tried to talk to each other, but we could barely hold a conversation. I was really worried I would never be able to connect with these kids. Then, one day, he asked me, "Te gusta jugar al fútbol?" On the outside, I calmly answered sí, but on the inside, I was filled with excitement because this was my chance to connect with him. We ended up playing soccer with each other for hours on the basketball court at the Hogar. Slowly but surely, we began to connect over the game we had both grown to love. Suddenly, kids I had never spoken to before began to play soccer with us. On that day, I realized there is only a language barrier if you let there be.
One instance when we encountered the language barrier was when we went on a trek on the Lares Trail deep into the mountains of the Andes. We passed small homes made of straw and rocks that looked like the wind would knock them down. One day we took a break, and a group of women and children tried to sell us their weaved goods outside one of these houses. These children did not know a word of Spanish or English, only their native language, Quechua. While the women were weaving, I started to talk to a little girl, and she saw my camera. I could see the curiosity in her eyes, so I made a motion asking if I could take her picture. After that first picture, she opened up and confidently grabbed the camera out of my hands. She ran around taking pictures of all the other kids, and by the end, I was surrounded by kids who wanted to see their own picture or take the pictures themselves. This machine that people in my world see as simple was magic to these kids. This machine allowed me to talk to these kids without using words, but I felt just as close as if I had.
We learned from these experiences that no matter how different someone seems to be, there will always be a way to connect.
We also discovered that we are all the same, no matter if we live in a small mountain town, a large city like Dallas, or a village in the Andes of Peru.